Your Honours, at that stage, like I said, we were largely at the KICC ourselves, so I was not really much in touch with what was going on, because our key focus at that stage was the tallying that was going on at the center where we were at. So I can only talk about what, or the sense that I was getting from within the building where I was. And that is what I'm saying was quite highly charged amongst the different parties that were there to oversee the tallying. That is what I can comment on.
Did you go to the inauguration of President Kibaki that day at State House, where he was sworn in as president after the chairman of the ECK announced formally the result?
Yes, Your Honours. On the 30th, I can't remember, but it was late afternoon, after the election results were announced, myself and a number of the other agents who were there then proceeded to State House, because we had been told that the inauguration ceremony would be held that afternoon. So we did leave now the tallying center and moved to the State House for the inauguration ceremony.
And what sort of ceremony was that? How did that event take place? Describe it.
Your Honours, it took place in the grounds of State House, where members of Parliament who had been elected, there were also members of Parliament who had also lost their elections but had supported Kibaki, as well as other distinguished gentlemen. I saw there was the Chief Justice who was there, there was the Attorney General was also present, former cabinet ministers were also present. We also had the various heads of we had the Chief of General Staff was also there, as well as the heads of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. It was a state function in a nutshell. It was basically a state function.
Were there any international delegates there?
I don't know about international delegates, but there was definitely representation of international media, who I think were there to cover the event. But there was, yeah, I know the international media was there, but I don't know if there were any diplomats there on that particular day, because like I said, I arrived pretty much just before the function started, so I really just took my seat, and I can't, except those people I recognized who I've just mentioned, the members of Parliament who had either won or even those who had lost. Many of them who I knew who were there, as well as the Chief Justice and others who were on the podium who I recognized.
There's a document from the Muthara team as part of their disclosure that records you arriving at 5 p.m. Would that be something you'd agree with or disagree with?
Yeah, that would be correct, because like I said, it was late afternoon. We left the KICC as soon as the final results were announced by the chair of the Electoral Commission.
And did you attend that function with anyone? Were you accompanied by anyone when you left the KICC?
I was accompanied by one of my personal assistants, yes.
And if you could name him?
I was accompanied by Jomo Gishaga.
And the event that took place at State House, how long did it take?
It was about an hour or so.
How many people attended?
I would say approximately 200 or so. About 200.
We've seen the swearing in, that's been exhibited on video film. Was there any form of reception?
No, Your Honours. After the swearing-in ceremony, the function basically ended. There was no reception after that.
And what did you do? Where did you go?
Your Honours, basically after 4 days of no sleep, I went home to sleep.
I think it's witness 12 for the prosecution alleges that on the 30th of December he attended State House with others and that there was a meeting with the Mungiki and yourself and senior PNU officials. Is that agreed by you or not? Did that event take place?
Your Honours, that event did not take place. It did not take place. The people who were there were largely parliamentary candidates of parties that had supported Kibaki who had won. There were a number of former members of parliament who had lost their seats. Other candidates who had also lost their seats, some of them who were also cabinet ministers who were also there. And Your Honours, these were people from all over the country, from different parts of the country who were there. So, I mean, it would be impossible for an event like that to be graced by Mungiki without raising eyebrows. It's not possible. Somebody would have seen them somewhere.
I take it you've been to State House many times, is that right?
I have been to State House many times, Your Honour.
Perhaps you can describe the sort of place it is, how it's situated, how it's guarded, what facilities are in there, who works there, who lives there. What's the structure of the place? Perhaps you can give a description to the court.
Your Honours, it's the official residence of the head of state of the Republic of Kenya. And it is a state building like any you would find in any part of the world. Undoubtedly, it is heavily secured. It is situated in the middle of Nairobi, in the heart of Nairobi, on a hill. There are 3 key entrances, all leading out to main roads of Nairobi. And it is basically a very formal, organized building. I think there must be over people in their hundreds at least working within that building. And it is a very formal building and structured and organized in a very formal manner. It's not a building where you can just walk in and out, as you say, unless you're properly invited through proper channels.
Is there a permanent staff at State House?
Yes, there is a permanent staff who are in residence because the staff housing is also within the compound.
I'm just taking another example from the evidence alleged by these witnesses. A city hopper bus driving into State House full of Mungiki, would that be something that would be observed or just pass unnoticed?
Your Honors, the way I know the State House that I know, unless we're referring to another State House, the State House that I know, it would be impossible for anybody to enter that building without being recorded and noted, especially large groups like that. I mean, it would be impossible for them to go unnoticed, from either the security from the gates to the security within the building to the staff to who work within there, to the kitchen staff, to the office staff who are there. It'd be impossible for a large group to just walk in and not be noted by somebody.
We're here in Holland at the moment in Europe, but the City Hopper buses, perhaps you could describe, I don't know if their honours have ever seen a City Hopper bus in Nairobi. Perhaps you could describe what they're like. I believe you know the man who owns the City Hopper business.
Well, the City Hoppers are basically public transport that mainly based in Nairobi, and they're large green buses. I think they're green in color, and they basically do commuting of Nairobi passengers within the city of Nairobi. It's like the equivalent of public transport.
Shiny and new?
Well, I won't call them shiny and new, no.
Perhaps a bit of age that you could give on the buses that you see, and the size of them.
Well, I mean, I can't give age. I can't give age, but the size are, 20, 25 seater type buses. Age, I can't say.
And they drive around the tracks around Nairobi and the streets. Is that right?
Yes, yes, Your Honours, yes.
An army truck is another one, with Mungiki in an army truck driving into State House. As you go through the main gate of State House, what do you see as you go in through the main gate?
I don't quite understand. What do you mean?
Is it driving straight up to a building or a courtyard, or is it lawns with shrubs and...
No, it's driving. It's got a processional type of entrance, Your Honours. To one side there's the main building, and to the other side are the grounds where sometimes events are held.
An army truck with Mungiki driving in for their own reception in the grounds of State House, to be provided with clothing and food and drink. Would that go unnoticed, or would you think that would be able to be observed by people taking place as an event?